Look at all those beautiful people.
Beautiful people. Is that a song right now? Beautiful people.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's because you're listening. You're listening to all. What do you call it? Baby
Baby
songs right
Shark.
now.
No, it's my life, my house. I'm not listening to the kids' songs yet.
That's awesome. Hey, Nidal, where are you at in the world right now?
Hey, I'm in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia.
Nice. What time is it in Saudi Arabia right now?
It's 11 p.m.
11 p.m. Nice. Well, thanks for staying awake for us.
Yeah, no, this is still early for me.
Oh, is it? Wow. You're amazing.
I'm just kidding. No, I go to sleep
started.
around like 1 a.m. or so. So this is fine. This is good.
The night is young. That's awesome.
I'm like Corey. Corey's the night owl, so we're both night owls.
Corey is not even just a night owl. He doesn't sleep. So when I go to sleep, he's still awake. When I get up in Seattle, he's still awake. It's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. I don't know how he does it, but I do know
Trying to
how.
hold both ends.
He's sponsored by Monster. That's basically how it works.
No more Monster. I'm not allowed.
Oh yeah. Hey, Robert Davis.
Ruby.
What's happening up there in Mount Vernon?
What's up?
Nice to see your face. Congratulations on all the sales, man.
It's crazy right now.
It's crazy. Real estate in Washington is out of control. Out of control. We just wrote 4 offers up today alone. Out of control. But it's all cool. Micah Kabag. How's it, Micah? How's Maui?
Hey, how's it going, Kiko? Always good.
Good.
Actually, just submitted an offer for, or might get approved for a house hack out here.
No kidding. I know you've been looking for a while, so that's awesome. Maybe Brandon Turner will help fund it for you, so that way you don't have to use any of your own money.
I know, exactly. Yeah, that would be best case scenario, but yeah, pretty excited.
That's awesome. What part of the island is it?
In Kihei.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. So yeah, got a good chance, or is it multiple offers?
Yeah, I think I got a good chance. We're close, and we're negotiating with the owner now. I think I just right now he wants $840 for it. I think I could get it for $835, and at that price I'd be happy. So
nice. That's awesome. Well, congratulations. Well, housewarming party once COVID lifts.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fantastic. Hey, Troy Dennis, how's Yellowstone?
It was awesome. It was great. Following in your footsteps. You inspired us to get out for a couple of weeks. So it was a good time.
It is, right? It is. It's a great road trip. From Washington, it's an easy drive.
Yeah, it was.
That's awesome. Well, good. Are you back now? Or are you guys still on the road?
No, we're back. Yeah, we've been back for about a week.
Oh, you've been back for a while. That's good. It's time to go back on the road again. They canceled school in Washington, so you know what? Everybody's on the road.
The whole state?
Pretty much. It's crazy right now. It is crazy. Tarl lives in this remote property with his own obstacle course and high ropes. Like, he's totally detached from the rest of the world. And of course, he just had a baby, so he doesn't listen to the news. All he does is sleep, and that's perfect. It's a great world you're in right now. Like, just stay in it.
I didn't listen to the news or troll on social media prior to COVID, so I still don't know what the hell. I didn't know what was going on then. I didn't even know there was anything going on until you just said something. So,
well, it's a better world if you don't know what's going on.
I don't look at it. I have no clue. So.
That's awesome. Right on, Corey. You wanna hit the top stuff, kind of the beginning stuff before we bring in Tarl?
Corey, I miss you. I haven't seen you in a while.
I miss you, Tarl. Big kiss. Mwah.
Hey, we don't need any of that public display right now, unless we all get to be apart. But then that's a whole different kind of Zoom call.
Yeah. Well, we have Tarl and Grace, dear friends to our hearts, and thank you so much, Tarl, for jumping on last minute today. We're gonna get to Tarl because he has a wealth of experience. He's helped us tremendously out in the Seattle market, and he has a big event coming up that we want to let everybody know about because we try to do our best to support him every year, and it's awesome. Like, all the Bigger Pockets guys go. Steve Rosenberg is there. All the players out in Seattle and the Pacific Northwest. So it's definitely some place to check out. So, but before that, let's why don't we just dive in and see how everyone's doing and see we'll jump into our leads, needs, and good deeds. Anybody need? What does everybody need today? Is there deals going out there? Is deals that need to get funded? Any good deeds? What about you, Kiko? What kind of good deeds you did?
Good deed. I passed my continuing education. It took me 5 days to finish. You have to renew every 2 years. I literally waited to T-2 days and had to cram it all in. So glad it is done for sure.
I need some advice. So I have a pretty good lead I'm working with right now. He hits all of the 4 pillars. The only problem is he has a tenant in there who was previously on Section 8 but passed away in January. So I guess the tenant's wife didn't inherit, or I don't know how it works, the Section 8 voucher. So anyway, she's been behind on rent since January, and I have no idea how like the legalities work, but he's telling me he can't legally get her out of the unit. So I was kind of curious if this is a deal that goes through, how does it work for the end buyer having to deal with that?
Great question. Anybody want to jump in on that? Anybody, landlords dealing with that same issue?
Taro, you got something for Jessica or Kiko?
I'm gonna say I feel like a dick right now because I was getting a PowerPoint ready while she was talking.
That's all right.
The question.
We'll let you off the hook, Taro.
Sorry.
We're gonna speak later. So Jessica, a couple things on the property management side, and none of our property management teams on the call right now. I know, yeah, Corey. Call him out while he's busy. The guy's a brand new dad. You got to give him lots of margin. So Jessica, every state is really different right now in regards to the eviction moratoriums. So, and it's changing super fast. Like it literally changes. We get updates almost every afternoon because our property management team's trying to stay on top of it. So I would say reach out to a local real estate attorney who is pretty versed in this space. I would take that over any chat room, any Google searches right now, because those aren't able to keep up with how quick things are changing. Hawaii is changing really quick because the governor is pretty aggressive in trying to control COVID. So he's locking things down that, I mean, he just banned singing. I mean, how can you ban singing? I mean, that's the only state I know that's banned singing, but I get it, right? Because Fauci says singing is going to promote the spread of COVID. So we don't have that in Seattle right now. Vegas doesn't have that as a ban. So all that to simply say, find a really good real estate attorney. If you need one, Corey and I use Peter Starn's office. I can't remember. It's Starn and then like 5 other really big names, and they're in a downtown office on Bishop Street. So try look them up, and they're really good. He's $5.50 an hour, so don't use him. Ask for somebody under his staff. Get the Chinese special, and then but they'll have the same information. And those folks are advising landlords that are more the commercial end in terms of like they own like big apartment buildings. So they have to stay on it because lawsuits are pretty huge right now in terms of the evictions and such. So that's the best guidance we could give, because literally anything I tell you probably will change by the time we're done with the call.
Well, Kevin,
what part of the world is this in?
This is Honolulu, and then Ken Lau is Kevin's eviction attorney. So awesome, thanks, Kevin. So Jessica, try to see that, and if you want to chat with Kevin on the side, try get Ken's number, and that's awesome. Hey, Kevin, have you had to deal with this issue yourself? Kevin, like only on the chat room, but doesn't like to speak live. He's like, I'm in my PJs. I don't want to say anything out loud.
Oh, yeah, I never had to deal with this issue, but I did have to evict tenants in the past or landowners in the past. And this guy, Ken Lau, a lot of investors I know in Hawaii use him, and everyone says he's really good and really reasonable price-wise.
Nice. That's awesome. Reasonable price-wise means $200.
I think 2,000 to 5,000 was my eviction.
A
while back.
Nice. That's great. That's considered cheap.
I guess.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Oh, that's interesting. Pearson says that they're processing evictions again in Miami or out of Florida. Pearson, is COVID cases still rising in Florida? Pearson's pulling at Tarl. He's doing something else.
He's in the chat. He said they are.
Sorry, he can't talk. He's multitasking. No worries. We're good. We're good. Awesome. Anybody else got a need or kind of want to bounce something else off? That's something you're trying to problem solve? While you're thinking of it, we want to do a shout out to Brandy Cambra. This is her first time on with us. She's interested in being an investor. She's kind of jumping into the investment space. So welcome. Glad you're with us. Sorry, Corey. Take it, man. I keep talking.
No. I'm looking through to see who's on. Well, actually, I want to call on Ruby to see if he has an update on that mailer he did a few weeks ago live when they did the live campaign. Ruby, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
What's up, bro?
What's up? So that live mailer that I did, maybe 4 to 6 weeks ago. I did it in front of everyone pretty much on here, how I did it. Keikoa said earlier in the show, I have a bunch of sales. I've secured 2 listings from that mailer, and those listings went live and then pending within 24 hours. So between those 2, I'll be taking home about $15,000 from just those listings. So no wholesales, but I got a bunch of leads from those, which is a good thing to have your license, because you can kind of push either way, a listing, wholesale, cash offer, however it be. Or you can always refer that out to another realtor if you come across a lead that just seems to be going a listing wise, and get some sort of referral fee from that.
That's awesome. So again, how much did the mailer cost you, Ruby?
It cost me $933.
So $900 investment, $15,000 return. What percentage of return is that? That's pretty solid.
I'd have to do the math, but yeah, it's a super good return. Again, I got a bunch of other leads from that too that will require follow-up, but right off the bat, I was able to convert 2 of those to listings, and those listings were pretty solid.
That's awesome. Well, I think the good thing for all of us is that if you're interested in doing direct mail, definitely connect back with Ruby, because he's the guru of it. When I first met him, that's what he was doing, and that's where he made his big money. And the other thing is that if you don't have a real estate license like Ruby does, then you might consider partnering with a really good real estate broker in your community or in your city that's an investment-minded realtor. So that way, when you do go do direct mails or you do direct calling or cold calling, if somebody comes on and says, hey, I can't sell it at the number you're offering for cash, but I do want to sell, then at least you can refer it out and then make a commission. And so that's a great thing. So nice, Ruby.
Good stuff.
Awesome. And Gansit Ohana, first-time investor. Sweet. Aloha.
Awesome. Well, last call. Anybody need anything? Hey, there's Pearson. What's up, buddy? All right. Well, I know Tay and Zasha closed on their deal, so congratulations again to you guys out in Maui.
What'd you guys buy in Maui? They're in their car, yeah.
Hi. Hi, I'm driving. Oh my gosh, sorry, the light sucks right now. So we got, it's a 2-story, upstairs is a 3-2, and downstairs is a garage, and then a studio. So Zasha's I wholesaled it to her, and she's gonna buy and hold.
And actually, I was gonna use hard money, and sorry, everything. I was gonna get a PML for the down payment, and ended up showing him the deal, and he asked me, hey, what if I fund the whole thing? I said, okay, what terms are we talking about?
And so he gave me really good terms, no down payment. What else?
A good, yeah.
I think
good, good rate.
Yeah, 8% interest, no down payment.
Balloon payment at 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months hold.
Yeah. It ended up being a not easy, but a pretty clean, go promissory note, and then the escrow and title took care of all the paperwork. Yeah,
that is awesome.
Right, like they have underwriters, and there was only what $800 or $1,000 of extra costs just to do their paperwork to have them as the PML and first name position on the property.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so we signed all the closing documents Thursday, right? Thursday? Mm-hmm. And then so Tuesday recording goes into effect because today the state is closed. And so Tuesday we're starting demo. Starting demo.
Take some good photos and then keep track of all of the costs and such, so that way you can do a deal highlight for us in the future.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you guys. Thank you. You guys helped make that happen.
I just wanted to say that the last week's call was amazing. We had Jim and Loretta on. I don't think they're on today, but they got to talk about what they're doing out in the Big Island. And it looks like, people in the group are interested, and they're looks like they're going to put up funding for them, so it's amazing to see that, this is working and everybody's helping each other, and we're linking up people who have deals with people who have money and vice versa. Right. So, it just fills my heart to see that. And, Kiko, you want to lead us off?
Yeah. We ready? Tarl, are you ready?
What?
You're always ready. Yeah. You're like, what? Where are we? What am I doing? What are we talking about? Well, I'll do a nice long intro, and then you can get ready. But today we get a chance to touch base with a good friend of Corey's and mine. Tarl and his wife Grace are just two of the most generous people that we know, and it's been really a blessing over the last several years to meet him. When I first moved to Washington, because Corey kicked me out of Hawaii, the first person that we met in the investment world through Brandon Turner, he just like, hey, you got to go talk. Brandon said, you got to go talk to this guy named Tarl. He kind of knows what he's doing. And it was cool. Tarl was flying in from somewhere and took some time on his way home from the airport just to grab, I don't know, Panera bread or something. And Panera, yeah. And we spent about an hour and a half just chatting about interests. And it was just awesome. Tarl is seriously a guy who is addicted to fix and flip. And that was where he got his start. But what's cool is that he has a tremendous background. We may not have time to really get into that, but his present influence in the Northwest has expanded around the country, and if not around the world. He runs a meetup called Fixated on Real Estate, and there's probably anywhere from 200 to 1,000 people on any given a different event that comes together to learn, network, get inspired. Tarl is very well organized when it comes to running these big events. But it all started because he was very organized in running his fix and flips. And so when we first met him, Corey and I were actually been evaluating one of his deals, which was actually really solid. But what was impressive is how he tracks his costs and how he organizes his paperwork and how he creates systems so that way he works less, does less, but produces more and makes more. Just recently, he and Grace just had their first baby. They have a baby boy. Woohoo! Yay. So Tarl looks very rested right now because he naps every time the baby naps, which, all of us who have kids remember that season and how good that feels. And so it's pretty exciting that they're now parents, but they're going to be talking a little bit about a conference that they're hosting, what's usually in Seattle, but this year it's going to be around the world. So anybody from Hawaii or anywhere else in the country can join in. And we'd love to see all of you join us because it's going to be a really cool, educational, inspiring, and very informative event. So with that, Tarl is right up here in the Northwest. He has fix and flips. He has buy and holds. He also invests across various portfolio product lines. So he'll probably share a little bit about that. But we really want to talk and dial in about systems because we don't talk a lot about systems, but anybody who's an investor who wants to scale beyond one deal really needs to look at systems and how to stay organized. And then if we got a little bit of time, one thing that I really enjoy talking with Tarl about is just tax strategies. He's not a CPA, he's not a tax accountant, but he's an investor who doesn't like to pay taxes, which everybody kind of like say amen to that, because we're all in the same boat on that one. And so we may have a chance to talk a little bit about that as well. So with that, Tarl, thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. Big round of applause. Woohoo, Tarl.
Thank you. Woo.
Glad you're
Where's
with
the entry music.
Yeah, right. Corey, that was your cue. Entry music. A little Eye of the Tiger right there would have been beautiful.
Yeah.
So, Tarl, do you? I kind of shared a little bit about you. Is there anything else about your background that you might want to just kind of share a little bit on?
The Cliff Notes version. I got started. I'm 35 right now. I got started in real estate when I was 20, and I bought a seminar. I don't know if you guys ever bought a seminar or anything like that. If some of you guys, that's how you guys got started or not. I went to a sell-a-thon, which had about 40,000 people, and in 2005, Robert Kiyosaki was there. Donald Trump was a keynote speaker, all that great stuff. And they had like a off back in the corner breakout session about this one program called How to Turn $10 into $10,000 in 30 days or less. And it was about wholesaling real estate. I was a super broke college kid. And I'm like, I got $10. I'd love to turn that into $10,000 in 30 days. So I bought their, it wasn't a seminar, it was like CDs and books, and it was all on wholesaling. It was $900, and I put it on a charge card. So I did not make 10 grand in 30 days. And so, but I think what helped me in that time period is I was super broke, super naive, and I legitimately did everything that program said to do. And on my 6th month, we made 100 grand on one deal. And that was a wholesale deal. So it was all signing contracts. But the very, like I said, super Cliff Note version is I absolutely hated every second of it. I never enjoyed any of it at all. So I got out of real estate. And then in 2011, I starting to get kind of back into it, series of events. And then through a whole bunch of series of events between 2011 and now, we've done a little over 600 flips and other properties. And so, and in 2014, we started Fixated Real Estate, which is the company we run now. And I still hate most of everything we do in real estate. So, but and the reason why I say that, and I'm not joking actually at all, but the reason why I say that is I had a business coach, and this goes into systems. I had a business coach a couple of years ago tell me the reason why I'm good at business systems for real estate is because I hate real estate. And because I don't like doing almost everything we have to do in the real estate business, I figure out ways to systemize, process it, break it down simply so other people can do it. Or if I have to do it, it takes very little time for me to do it. And so that way I don't have to do it because I'd rather go do other cool shit. Scuba dive, rock climb, snowboard, travel. 2018, 2019, my wife and I traveled 223 days, something like that, across the world. And we still bought lots of buy and hold spurs, which I'm a recovering house flipper now. And we do as much as we can to buy really fucked up properties, fix them up like a flip, and then we just don't sell them. We keep them instead. So as rentals. So it's like, that's really the whole BRRRR strategy: buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. All that is just don't sell it, right? So flip it, and then instead of flipping it, you keep it. So, and if you're really good at flips, BRRRR is really easy. And as long as you have the finances to do the refinance on the back, then it's really easy. But that's
awesome.
And that's another topic too. But
yeah.
Anyways, that's my life now.
220 days of travel, and that's awesome.
But that came from like years of working our ass off to realize that success was not about making more money to us, like in working our ass off. It was actually we didn't care. We didn't spend it. Like we just used it for travel anyways. And some buddies of ours love to buy the Lamborghinis and Ferraris and big houses, and we didn't. We'd rather go snowboard and travel and all that. So we're like, well, why don't we just go do that? Why do we have to go make a bunch of money to do that? So we decided that it'd be better to make a certain amount, which is still a lot, but it's but I didn't need to go buy 1,000 homes a year. I didn't have any desire. I didn't like it. So we were only doing it for lifestyle anyways. So it shifted in our entire world to go, let's build out our business systems, everything in our entire world to run off our phone. And if it doesn't run off our phone, we're not going to do it. So that way we can travel, we can be mobile, we can do stuff, and we can have other people doing things we don't want to do. So that way we can still run our business and still make plenty of money and enjoy life, which is what most people do is they work their ass off, then enjoy life later. I'm like, well, why do we got to wait? Let's just do it now. So, and it took us a few years to figure that out. But
that's awesome. What I think we kind of do, we have it kind of backwards in America. We work our butts off all our lives, and then we hit 65 years old, and then we're free. We have money, and it's time to travel. But now we're too old to go, snowboarding and skydiving and doing all the things that you do. So that's what I think is most inspiring.
I think part of that though, dude, is like, I think part of it's just that whole culture. Like if it's the culture that in order to be successful, you have to build a business, or you have to grow a big income, or you have to I think that's just it's a mentality that we're kind of stuck in, realizing that you can do whatever you want in your life, like as long as you have the desire to go do it. So, and just shape it that way. Who cares what other people think? Do whatever you want.
100%. And I think that's what what real estate allows us to do, is that we do things different than almost everybody else on traditions. And then we create that financial freedom and opportunity. And so let's talk about that, because 600 flips, recovering house flipper, and ability to, if you choose to, basically don't work, physically for almost the better part of a year. So that's truly systems. So let's get into that systems just a little bit. We've got about 35 minutes. So I want to try to use the time well and give everybody a chance to ask questions. So again, for everybody, it's like coffee. So pretend we're all at a big Starbucks and we're all sitting around a table and everybody's kind of tuned into Tarl. So throw into chat, just questions along the way, and we'll try to do the best we can to hit some of those. But Tarl, just in general, if you were to do it all over again and start systems all over again, what would you say are, for a brand new flipper, some of us maybe have done 3 or 4 or 5 deals. What does that look like if you were to start over again and say, hey, here's 4 to 5 things that you got to think through when it comes to systems, and do these early on as opposed to later?
Great question. So I guess what it boils down to is how active do you want to be in your business is one of the first questions to ask. How much do you love what you do? And what are those items that you love that you just don't want to let go of? So then, in that case, you got to ask yourself too on those, just because you love doing it, are you the right person to be doing it is the other question too. But so backing up though, there's some really simple processes that it blows me away that people don't do this. So this is the easiest thing. We're just going to let's talk specifically single family homes, right? It's simpler, and you could actually transfer this between any multifamily too. It doesn't really matter, but it's or even land development. Let's take single family. If you're not using Dropbox or Google Drive, use Dropbox or Google Drive. Let's just throw that out there. Just use one of those 2 things. And if we use Dropbox, we're so integrated in it. But if I had to go back in time, I would use Google Drive, just because then you can have the Google Suite products and sheets and all that kind of stuff attached to it. But I'm integrated in Dropbox. Now, 1, use Dropbox. 2, create a filing system, a really simple filing system inside that Dropbox or Google Drive, just to keep track of your properties. I think one of the biggest pet peeves I have is talking to other investors, and I go, they're like, oh, we just bought this house. And I'm like, cool, do you have a picture of it? Right? And they're like, yeah. And they pick up their phone and they're, when was that?
What month was that? What year was that?
And then they're like, oh yeah, we totally killed it. We flipped this one house and everything like that, and we had to do this. I'm like, cool, do you have any photos? And they're like, and then you gotta whatever, forever. And so, it's with the way that the cloud works these days, have a Google Drive or have a Dropbox and have a folder that actually, can I share my screen?
Yeah, please.
Right. This is 101, which is what I would just say to do right away that anybody can do. And I'm just going to pull up a property. So this is, I'm going to share a screen. It's going to look small at first, so hold on a second. Let me get this fixed. All right, so this is a Dropbox folder for this address here. Don't bother the people there. We're selling it right now. So but when you open up one of our Dropboxes, it's legitimately these folders, which if you're on your cell phone, it's going to be hard to see, but there's 6 folders, right? Analysis, before, listing, resale, MLS picks, purchase, rehab picks. Now, when we buy the property, these 2 folders are not there because these are later for if we go sell it. If we go to refinance it and keep it, this folder, instead of listing resale, is called refinance. That's all the only difference. But these key folders, analysis, purchase, rehab picks. I can show you the last 80 houses I've done. Every single Dropbox folder is actually, I can show you the last couple hundred houses we've done. Every Dropbox folder is set up just like this. Every one of them, just simple stuff. Analysis is anything that has to do with analyzing the property before purchase. Typically the P&L's in there. This is the analysis super sheet. It's the ASK for short. So the before picks is pretty straightforward. If you notice on this property here, might not be able to see this number, but it says 175. So the other thing I would encourage people to do is take freaking pictures and take as many photos as possible. There is not too many photos to take. And they're like, oh, well, you already got 20 photos of the house. Why do you need more? Take 100, whatever, you're there. And so the other thing that we said that we teach, I don't take any of these photos, by the way. So keep in mind, sorry, back it up. When I'm talking about these systems, keep in mind, I'm not the one doing these things. So the key is that if I say, hey, go take a bunch of photos, yes, you might have to be the one that does it now, depending on who you are. But the goal is like, how can you get somebody else to do it so you don't have to? Why do I want 175 photos of this house? And this is only like an 1,800 square foot house, right? Was because I need 175 photos to be able to look at it from my cell phone or my desktop here from home or wherever the hell I am. So I can analyze the deal super, super effective if I'm the one looking at it. If there's 20 photos of the house and it's a 2,000 square foot house or whatever, then I'm not going to get enough info for the rehab. Especially you could tell on this particular house, it's kind of messed up, right? So there's a lot going on in it.
Yeah.
But here I am. Like if you look, here's the other system too. The pictures are taken the exact same way every single time. All the pictures are taken from the outside first. This is the outside of the house. You're walking in through the back door. Okay, this is the back door he just walked in. That's up, that's to the right. And this is the kitchen. Okay, he's turning left. Now there's a hallway. He's going through the hallway. Oh, this is all it is, right? You're just taking photos as he's walking through the house, right? You're already walking through it, just keep taking photos, right? And then upload them to Dropbox and we're good to go. So if that's done, then why do I personally need to go walk the house? Now, some people might say, okay, we need to go get a video too. Well, that's great. I'd rather have photos though. I'd rather have photos over than a video because a video moves too quick. It doesn't really I can't analyze the rehab. If I go, or you can't analyze it either. So if I'm on this photo, I can go, okay, well, I can zoom in and see that is a stupid faucet, right? But if it's a video, I might not be able to catch that. And there's living room photos. Who cares? I'm not going to dig into the photos too often. But take lots of photos. That's another big thing. Put them in a Dropbox.
Tarl, a system of yours is that you typically go right to left all the time, every room, and you always start outside going in the doors.
Yeah, that's super granular. I just want to throw that super granular. But the point I'm trying to get is that this is the first system we ever created was we had 20 properties or we have 15 properties or we were buying properties and things are going on. And well, how do you keep order of them, right? Well, make a Dropbox file and label them correctly. So that way at any time, if I have to go in the rehab docs and I need to look up at any invoice that I've ever paid on this thing, or if somebody else on my team paid, here's all the invoices we paid on that property. They're right there. Why do we have to dig around for them? So
yeah. Well, and Tarl, I wanted to bring that up on the granular level because I remembered you telling me that and I was like, man, that's so interesting. We started doing the same thing on our properties, and bro, what it does is when a lawsuit happens, you have so many photos and they're all in the exact same order. So we actually had a property we flipped in Redmond. We sold it. A flood happened. That was a winter 2 winters ago when rains just would not stop and people had to build arcs up here in the Northwest. So the new buyers filed a suit because they were like, no, there's mold in the walls, all kinds of stuff. And I was like, well, thank God we had so many photos. We had 4,500 photos for the property, all in the exact same order over and over again over the entire 12 months that we owned the property. Gave the whole thing to our attorney, and our attorney's like, there's no lawsuit here. And so the the lawsuit just went away. Just because of photos. And that was all because of you. So Corey and I owe you some legal fees.
I'll take it. So, but for but your example of that is, I have lots of examples of that, of being saved by lawsuits just because we have photos. And it's typically from a contractor, almost always, but where they said they did something or they didn't or whatever it might be. And then you're like, I got pics, do you? Right? Because they don't take pictures. Yeah. And even on this last little thing here, like I said, this is granular. But these are every single week, photos are taken of the property. And all we do is label at the bottom the date, what's going on, and then who took the picture, right? And that's the same thing. Trust me, there's 100 photos in each one of those folders. So
Which is awesome.
now, if you're already walking your house, just take the pictures. What's the big deal? Just take them. And then nowadays with the cell phones, you just click a few buttons and they just magically upload into a folder, and then you move on with your life as you drive to the next house or do whatever, right? So I don't want to spend a lot of time on that part, but Dropbox or Google Drive, set it up. It's super simple. Then when you want to like do a presentation on it, because let's go further down the path. When I started raising private capital to buy properties and stopped borrowing from hard money lenders all the time and getting screwed by Keiko Capital with all their like absurd fees and points.
Wait a second. That's not what we paid you to say.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, wrong script. That was the other hard money company. We got to get to the right script.
But prior to all that, of course, the best private money lender, this is an individual person that I ever had and still have to this day, was in end of 2014, early 2015, something like that. I sit down with him for coffee one time. He got referred to me by my attorney, who was his attorney, and she knew I was doing deals, right? And she's like, "Do you ever need anybody that want to lend you more money?" I'm like, "Yes." So she introduces me to Ken, and I sit down with him 30 minutes, but he's like, "Show me what you do." Oh, that's easy. Let me pull up my Dropbox. Right. So, now I had other things too. We used Basecamp at the time, and now we use Asana, but that's another thing we can go over if we want later. But but I was able to just literally pull up any property I had done and show it to him. And just because it was in a Dropbox file, and I was able to do it on my phone. Actually, at the time I had my tablet, and I just like popped it up at Starbucks, and I'd be like, okay, I think I had like 11 or 12 projects at the time going on. I'm like, here's the projects we have going on. Here's what it is. And I could open up any of the folders, show it to him. Here's the past projects that closed last year, and I could open up any of those folders, show it to him. He spent maybe like 5-6 minutes glancing at that stuff, and he's like, okay, you run a business, you do what you do. And I think within 60 or 90 days, I owed the guy $4.5 million. And because he just started like, give me everything. So, he paid 100% of everything. Right. So like, that was the thing. I didn't have to pay anything, rehab, purchase, anything. He just wrote the check. Right. And that was a 10% interest, whatever. Best. I'm like, sweet, game changer for me at that time. Right. And so and all that was because I was able to show him what I did simply.
Yeah.
And so if you want to go to another level professionally too later, then you just have an organization. Like, it's especially how easy it is.
Yeah. That's great. So Dropbox, Google Drive, filing system. What else would you say, kind of getting started, the 101s?
I would say read 3 books.
Okay.
And I'll screen share this later. Actually, let me do this. Here we go. I'm going to screen share it. It's a little PowerPoint I threw together a long time ago. So is this showing?
Yep.
Okay. These 3 books, 4-Hour Workweek, Checklist Manifesto, and The One Thing, right? So everything in my life with how I think as far as what we do as a business revolve around like these 3 books. People ask me like, do I read real estate books? Nope. So I don't read any real estate books. I don't think I do own them just so I could show them, but not because I actually read them. But these 3 books is it. So the 4-Hour Workweek got me to think very differently with like, how do I get creative to make things super like simple and have other people do it or whatever it might be, and like be most effective. I think that was the best thing I liked about the 4-Hour Workweek, is to become a really effective worker and a really effective thinker when it came to business, and how to like think through strategies quickly to figure out a way to get like somebody else to do it or effectively do it if I only have an hour to work, right? The One Thing was amazing for putting in perspective, going like, what's the most important thing should I be doing, right? That can help my business. And for me, I sat down years and years and years ago, and I literally wrote out just lists. So I would highly encourage everybody to do this too, is write out everything that you have to do in your business that you think you have to do, or that your business actually has to do too. And then go through and like, just be granular, just write it all out, just everything. Right. And you'll just get like sheets of papers of this crap. And then go through each one of those items and put a star next to anything that you are the only one that can do that. Right. That you really are the only one. And then go back again and and I mean like, not what you're doing now. I mean, like, you legitimately, even if you hired people, you still are the only one that can do that. And then go back and go put a star next to anything that you love to do, right? That you love to do and you're really good at, right? So, and you'll find that if you look for the ones that have 2 stars next to them, and the ones that have 2 stars next to them are the ones that you really should be the only one that's doing it, and you're really good at it and you love it, like kind of a thing. Like, you love it and you're good at it. So maybe you are the right person to do that. Anything else, somebody else can do, or you could, or it needs to be eliminated like completely and not even be there. And for me, my biggest thing that I got out of that was networking. So for my business, my highest, best use, where my, like, if I want to grow my company, I need to be free to go network and meet people. And that includes raising capital. That includes even recruiting contractors is meeting people. Like, I'm really good at that too. And recruiting wholesalers, meeting, like just networking, building this database of people. So that way I could feed the machine and be the rainmaker for my business. And then all the other crap, somebody else should be able to handle somehow. Right. And there's times where I had to go jump into those roles to go handle, because I had to go figure it out on my own, but like at certain points, but then get something in place to where it works out. So, and then Checklist Manifesto, I think out of all 3 books, this is like the best book for sure. Like, as far as simplifying some processes, it's about taking really complicated processes and simplifying them to really simple checklists. And it's a really fun read because it's about the medical industry and stuff too. So it's not just some like boring ass checklist book, right? It's actually a really good read. And I enjoyed it quite a bit, but it's our entire, if you want, I'll show you, if we have time, I'll show you Asana later, but our entire Asana that we use for our project management and team management is based off of Checklist Manifesto and how we built it out. So the other thing I would say too is this here, I might as well do this since I have the PowerPoint up. So this is a normal investment strategy, right? For most people, they have a market, like these are the 9 phases of like buying and dispositioning a property. And so it's, if you're going to go to the next step, Keikoa, on like how somebody should focus on systems, is if they're able to go through this and write out everything they do, if they simplify their business, they go, okay, well, essentially you got to find a property, market it. They got to analyze the deal, right? They got to find a way to fund it and purchase and have a transaction coordination side. They got to actually plan. A lot of people skip this part, the planning part of the property, by the way. They usually just jump straight into it. But plan it, know what they're going to do with it. Then, get some contractors, rehab it, get bookkeeping, financials. A lot of people skip that part too, by the way. And then the listing, refi, or rent, which is the disposition. And then finally, like, get rid of it, right? So this was our business, and we had actually components for each one of these things. And we're like, it's just too much. Like, it's just too many steps, too many things, too complicated. So we just simplified the hell out of it. So this is what we did to simplify ours. These are the 4, like I said, what's the most important things in our business that we need to be focused on and be really good at? It was these 4 things. And the one that we found that was the biggest focus for us, that if we did one thing and one thing only, that made all the rest of the stuff easy, it was this thing, the planning phase for us. If we spent a lot of time and systemized and focused and did a lot of work on this with a project, everything else was fucking easy. Like, everything. It was just like, we got rid of all our work. Like, we didn't even need project managers anymore. Like, everything just kind of like flowed because we actually planned out what we were doing. But
that's awesome.
Anywho,
so how does that, do you have a slide that just breaks down that planning phase a little bit? Just like you can hit real quick that you.
Yeah, actually, I got something even better. So,
since that's such a critical component of that, that'd be interesting just to check it out.
Hopefully this shows, if you're on your cell phone, you might not see the screen that's about to happen, but this is Asana. Let me show you that. So this is Asana. Asana is a project management software. These are all these teams and stuff like that we create. We use it for everything. So, but this is a template for when we, it says template rehab projects. This is a template we use. I think I could zoom in. Let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah, I'll zoom in so it's easier. So this is a template that we use for any project we buy, right? And this is specifically single family, right? And also like small multifamily, that kind of stuff, duplexes, fourplexes, all the same thing. But anything bigger than that, it would be a different process, but we don't specialize in that. So if you saw, like, I had the 4 components, right? Which is the analysis, whatever. Planning is right here, right? So this is our planning phase. And we found out that if we focus on these things here, and we really plan out what needs to be done to it, we have floor plans, designs, obtain permits, cabinets, binders, final scope of work, that kind of stuff. So the main thing for us is this, the floor plan, right? And any design that we're going to do to it. So those are the 3 big things for us. But each one of these things, if we're going to do a floor plan design, if you heard me say like the checklist manifesto was a big deal to us, these key components here are the big rocks, right?
Yep.
Notice there's 9 steps. See this number 9? There's 9 steps for Serena, who's in charge of floor plans, to take care of floor plans. If you own the company, I don't give a fuck about these 9 steps. I care that if the floor plan's done or not, right? So like, I think that's one of the issues that kind of would happen is that we get too granular, using that word, right?
Yeah.
Serena needs to care about these 9 steps, right?
Right.
And she needs to know those 9 steps really well, and she needs to be and she needs to be trained on them, and she needs to be aware that they exist, and she needs to follow all these. But she's in charge of these 9 steps, so when she checks to this box here saying that the floor plans are done, she's also saying she did these 9 things.
Gotcha.
Right?
So that's what you check as the owner.
That's
You
what I
look
check.
see those things are done.
Correct. And that's why I want people to think differently on that. It's like, okay, what do you got to really pay attention to versus what other people need to pay attention to? And sometimes one of the biggest issues some of us have when it comes to building systems and letting go is letting go, right? But that comes with training. Nate, some of you guys, I know Keikoa and Corey know Nate. Nate's our acquisitions guy. Nate, years ago, I was going to fire him, right? I was going to let him go. He'd only been with me for maybe about like 7 months. And I'm like, I love the guy. He's a great friend, but my wife's like, you hired a friend. Like, and so, but he's not working well. But when I reflect on when I realized before I was about to let him go was that he was failing at his job as an acquisitions manager because I didn't give him the tools, resources, or training that he really needed to succeed at it. So as a leader, I was failing at that. And I was doing more work and more issues than I needed to because I didn't put the upfront effort of the SOPs, standard operating procedures, having actually training for him, giving him what he needed. So that upfront work with creating systems is a lot of work. But then the back end just is like awesome, right? If you do it right. And so because of that, I realized, man, that sucks. Nate was about to get fired because of something I failed at. Mm-hmm. And so I'm pretty open with my company. I told him that. I told him, like, I was about to fire you. But some people take that offensively, whatever. But he took it in stride.
Nate tells that story as well. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I think it was a defining moment in his life as well. So I think that's awesome. So Asana, you found, is a pretty solid system for kind of systems and tracking for your purposes.
Yeah. The problem with Asana, you have to build it out. So like if I was going to give advice to people, is that figure out if you have that list of everything you're supposed to do, right, in your business, can you chunk it, right? Can you chunk it into big rocks? Like what are the big rocks, the big boulders, that kind of stuff? And I know time's an issue with what we're talking about, but like this is a bigger concept, right? That it takes time to do it. And it's not easy for everybody to do this. And maybe one of the issues is maybe you shouldn't be the one doing it, right? Maybe you should have somebody else that helps you put it together, right? Which is okay too. Like I'm not somebody that should ever pick out finishes in a house. I should never do that. I'm partially colorblind. Every house is gray to me, like, and I'm cool with that, right? So and I don't want to, that was so hard for my brain to wrap around when we're starting out with flips, to go into a place and be like, what kind of tile should we pick? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I just didn't understand any of that stuff. So I should not be that person. I also hate it. So if I'm not the person that should be doing that, I shouldn't even be the one like creating the process for it either. Like I shouldn't even be a part of that. So can you hire that out? And we had an interior designer that we hired out just to build like 3 packages for us, right? Basically, we just paid them a couple grand. We'd been doing business, and they built out 3 finished packets for us. And then over time, Serena got really good at it, and then she started taking it all over, and she's in charge of all of it. We also stole a bunch of stuff from Heaton Daner, who's a good buddy of ours and stuff, who he had finished packets, and we just like ripped those off big time too. And now people do that to us, which is fine. But if that's the case, pay for it. But I used to just leverage realtors. Like I would leverage realtors too. Be like, let the realtor who's going to sell the house help pick the finishes, right? And I would just put them in charge of that. Be like, okay, you're going to sell it for 400 grand. That's what you say you're going to sell it for. What specifically has to be done in this house to sell it for 400 grand? And I would get them to put that together in an email, bullet point. You should have, here's pictures of the comps of what it should look like, right? And now they're picking out the finishes, but they're also being held accountable to it being sold for 400 grand if we did what they said that we need to do. And I'd even go so far, I don't do this anymore because we do everything in-house now, but I'd even go so far with some of those realtors, especially if they listed regularly with us, where they would get a reduced commission if it didn't sell for that, if we did what we said they're going to do, all the way down to 0, just because we bought it because they said to buy it, and we did what they said to do, and it didn't sell for any of that crap. So therefore they got to eat it too. So that was kind of another part of our system.
Another system. Cool. So now, after the kind of the SOPs and the training, what else would be kind of a next step? Obviously, this is like, months of a training system that could be put in place, but high level, I think it's very inspiring. And I think the feedback so far is it's great advice. So just keep going. What else would you say in addition to the SOPs, some training, leadership, means taking responsibility for your team?
I think niching out is really important. I think too, I used to make fun of you and Corey, I still do, about how you guys do everything, right? So and when I first met you guys, I'm like, you guys need to like focus on one thing or something. But then every time I talk to you, you're like, oh, now we're doing this. Now we have a brokerage. Now we're developing. Now we own Keiko Capital. Now we or Keiko Capital. I'm like, oh, cool. Right. You guys work a lot. That's great. But I think that at least at some point, right, niche out to get really good at that thing and then add on. So I think it's a lot simpler and a lot easier, especially if you're starting out. Like it's so attractive to see what other people are doing and want to do it too. Yeah. And then if you're always on these things, you're always seeing what somebody else is doing and you want to do it too, right? So it is very attractive to do that. And it also can mess you up to where you never get ahead. So I didn't start having real success in this business until I finally just focused on one thing, and that was flips in the Pacific Northwest, 15% cash on cash return in King Pierce County only, later added to Portland. And I didn't do any pop-ups, right? Any pop tops and any additions, right? Everything else was fair game. As long as I hit that, I got really niched out on that. And then once I got good at that, I started adding on to it. But I built out that system first to do that. And everything skyrocketed as soon as I was just like, this is what I do, right? And so I was able to spend the time to build those processes and systems to do that. Now you can go way faster if you have capital, because then you can like actually hire, partner with people, do all that kind of stuff, and have people build it out for you if you want to build a big company. But but if you're doing it yourself, then focus on that. So if you're going to do, and you don't need to do it forever, and it only needs to take as long as you take, right? So
I think that's awesome guidance, because I mean, they always say the riches are in the niches, but you're totally right. Everything is shiny, everything glitters in this industry. And man, you listen to Bigger Pockets today and you're like, man, I'm going to do student housing. And then tomorrow you're like, I'm doing mobile homes and I want to be branded. And then now you're doing something else. And so I think that's 100% on target, is that for all of us that are on this kind of coffee talk and just thinking about what our next steps are, I think instead of growing wider, grow deeper. And so what Tarl's sharing with us is, how do you grow deeper first so your foundation's strong so you can grow wider and taller and bigger? And so systems are super important. Corey and I struggle with this all the time in terms of just what systems need to be in place, and taking that time sometimes doesn't feel like it's worth it. But like you said, it takes that time of investment and it's 100% worth it. So I think that's awesome.
I think, well, like to add on to that, it's that reflection time is needed on what you do. Like, so it's the other big thing that came from us doing this business is that, and it's very easy. Like very easy. I know a lot of people that do this business to just go, right? And they just go, and they have no idea how they got where they are, right? And so it's very hard to duplicate that, right? And it's very challenging to duplicate something that you don't know how you did.
Right.
And you definitely can't teach other people, right? And you definitely can't create SOPs, and you definitely can't create processes, right? So it does take a moment to pause, right? And if you've done a handful of projects already, and you maybe have I could sit here and start listing out what probably most people do, but I'm not going to. But you kind of have a process, but the process is you, right? And then whatever other makeshift thing that's going on. Yeah. Take one project. Take your last project, right? Just take your last one and sit down for an hour or two, or if you have the time to do it, or 30 minutes, 10 minutes, right? Whatever. And start mapping out, how did you find the property? What went right? What went wrong? What could do better, right? How did you plan the property? How did you fund it, right? What was your process for that? And just kind of like bullet point this type of stuff and go like, okay, well this, and then start reflecting, like, what was my original projection on the property when I bought it? And what was it actually? And like, well, I don't really know how much I really made on it. All right, that's an issue, because I know people like that where they just make money, but they don't know how much they actually made on a project, right? They couldn't tell you that. They just know there's more money in the bank, right? Yeah. So and then tax season shows up and they don't file their taxes. But anyways, so if you could figure out all that and do the before and after, like, this is what I thought it was going to be. This is what it was. What went right? What went wrong? What can I learn from it? What can I do better? Like, and just do that on one project, and you'll learn a lot. Yeah. Don't hit yourself when you do it either. And if you have a team, it's not a time to point fingers. It's the time to learn, right? And we do that with every project. We spend 30 minutes, right, just going over each project that once it's done. We have a little form that Serena now, she takes care of, and she kind of pre-fills like, this is what it was projected, this is what it was. And then we spend 30 minutes on one of our team meetings going through that project, and we add our input, and then learning lessons, and we write that all out, and then we decide, should any of these learning lessons be added into what we do now, or was this like a one-off or a spook thing or whatever it might be? And that's been a big thing for us over the years too. It's very easy not to do that.
Right.
So,
Totally. Yeah, totally. Because you just move right on to the next project.
Yeah.
So speaking of teams, let's hear a little bit about how your team is structured now, but then more kind of dial it back to people, you know, when you were just starting and it was kind of you, 25 years old, trying to figure stuff out, or 30, right? You came back in the industry. Just what's the first person, if you were to do it all over again, 30, 29?
Okay, whatever, 2011, and then I started getting after 2012 hardcore, so 8 years ago, so 27?
27-ish, yeah.
27,
So, you know, because there's quite a few of us that are more solo entrepreneurs right now. We don't have a big team. You know, we got a couple people loosely. What's your guidance as who's the first person or second person you'd say, hey, bring this person on your team if you're in the kind of the fix and flip or the burr space, which is kind of where you're at right now?
Bookkeeper. So,
Gotcha.
like for your future self will thank you if you use Upwork, find somebody part-time. They have to know real estate accounting though. Now book your mom, your uncle, cousin, brother, sister, unless that's what they specialize in, then no. So you need to be able to fire them too.
Well, and so dive deep into that, Tarl, because I think most people who are investors, they're like, you know what, this is easy accounting. I write a check to a contractor, money comes in. Why do I need a bookkeeper? Why do you say that that's important?
It's for your future self. So, and what I mean by your future self is that I know a lot of, this is different. Everybody's got their own finances. Like everybody's got their stuff. If you have a W-2 job, like all that kind of thing. So you have, you know, they're all big factors, right? With how your finances and your taxes are going to be laid out. If you want to get cheaper money long-term, right? And if you actually want to keep some of these projects, or if you want to become financeable, you need to have good financial records, right? And good financial records are huge in this business, especially the bigger you get, because the bigger you get, the more complicated you get too. And it's very, very easy when you have 2 houses, 3 houses a year to kind of handle your own shit. And even then, a lot of people mess that up, just to be upfront. But if you had it already kind of systemized and easy for like, you know, you got a part-time bookkeeper that maybe spends 5 hours a month on your stuff, right? And because it's easy, that's great. But it's organized and it's scalable, right? So it can go. So if you do decide to go big, and trust me, once you go from like 2 or 3 in a year to 20 in a year or plus, and you don't have a process, it's all chaos, right? It's all messed up. It's all in a shoebox, or you can't figure out what's going on, and cash flow becomes an issue, and you want to go get funding, and you just look like a mess on paper, right? Especially if you have multiple entities and you start growing that, like it costs a lot of money to fix all that when it's already messed up. So very simple thing to start. And so I would do that, like just virtual bookkeeper that knows QuickBooks, right? Or some other program that you want to use. But for a long time, I used Excel for all our stuff, and it was actually pretty good because I had a process for that, really simple process for that. And then because it was just flips and it was pretty simple. But as we got more complicated, we had to switch over to QuickBooks and then classifying it outright, all that kind of stuff. So now we can tell you at any moment what's going on and all that kind of stuff, balance sheets, whatever. That's now. Back in the past, it wasn't that important, right? Until I wanted to go get a refinance for my first rental, right? Or buy a house that, you know, was my personal residence and all this kind of stuff. So, getting financially, you know, set up was more challenging if you didn't have good records. But that'd be the first. That's an easy one. But like the other, if you had to say like a physical person, then, you know, a lot of people want an assistant or something like that, somebody that can help you out with stuff. A really low hanging fruit, in my opinion, is somebody that can like coordinate for you on your projects, right? And also like kind of like a quasi assistant that can also go drive the projects and take photos for you, do quality control, all that kind of stuff. Even if you're 1Z, 2Z, 3Z type of thing, just somebody that can help, right? And then you can add on to it. Eventually, a project manager would be good for construction if you're doing a lot of construction. But even then, it depends on how you set it up and how involved you are in your projects. But right now, if you're all part of Bigger Pockets in some way, I promise you, you can get a slew of free people that would love more than anything to go drive your project once a week for you and take 150 photos for you and put them in a Dropbox. They would be the happiest freaking people in the world. You don't have to pay them anything. They would be like, they pay you, right? So that's they could do that because they just want to see it. And they're just super excited and we want to become friends, right? Yep. So you don't have to pay for any of that. And then whenever we go into a new area, I just hit up bigger pockets and be like, anybody want to be our slave? I mean, I'm sorry, want to be like, want to go take a bunch of photos for us and stuff and help us out? That'd be great. But and people want to do it. So eventually we start paying them and all that kind of crap too. But
So
yeah.
tell everybody a little bit about your team today then. So you've kind of evolved, you've got systems in place, you've streamlined it, and now your time is spent a lot less on day-to-day stuff. You're much more on leadership, management, networking. What does today's team look like now that you're 600 flips in, 8 years in, travel 200 hours, 200 days a year? What does that look like for your team today?
So was a big thing for there's systems and then there's scalability, right? Those are also two different things. And a lot of people confuse scalability with scaling up. It's also being able to scale down, right? And how fast and easy can you do that? So for a while there, we can scale up, but we couldn't scale down easily. And that was a big issue for me in 2017, where we had so much overhead from employees, staff, software programs, like all this kind of stuff, that we had to keep flipping houses to feed the machine. And that's a horrible position to be in when you start having it's not that, I mean, balance sheets were great, assets were great, but sometimes you get cash poor, right? For a period of time, if you have too much out in construction. I mean, at any time we'd have $1 million, $2 million, $3 million out in construction, depending on how many projects we had going on, right? And you become cash poor, especially you got interest payments and all this kind of stuff too. And you got overhead for employees. Yeah. And so I remember we had one house, sorry, this is a long way to answer your question, but it's important, where we had a project in Tacoma that I wanted to keep as a rental. I'm still pissed off today that we don't have as a rental, but if we sold it, we got 80 grand easy out of it, right? It was a super easy flip. And it was just in that perfect timing that 80 grand was needed. And in order to keep the machine moving, right, at that moment, right? And I sold it, right, so we can keep things going. It was strictly because of too much overhead and out of pocket costs going out everywhere at that exact moment. I hated that. It was a huge wake up call for me to go there's got to be a different way we could do this, because I don't want to hire a shit ton of people all the time, right? I don't want to keep growing. So we put everybody. So today we have a very small team, right? Very small team, and we've always had a small team. The most I've ever had as far as employees, including myself, was 6, right? And at any time, you're talking all of our projects would be between a $40,000 rehab to a $300,000 rehab. We'd have between 17 to 23 active rehab projects going on at any one time, all the time for years. And we were always doing shit and we had an events business too, right? So it's and we never had more than 6, including myself. And then for a long time, it's only 4 of us, right? So right now there's 4 of us that are actually key people. Everybody else is expendable unless you're listening to this. It's not you, trust me. So but in reality, everybody becomes profit sharing at that point, right? They're either independent contractor or they're profit share. So even my 2 main key people, which is Nate and Sarita, that's been with me the longest, they were salaries forever plus bonuses, and now they're 100% profit share, so that it's scalable, right? So that way, if we're not doing much, then I don't have to pay overhead, right, when it comes to it. And if they're independent contractor and we don't need them anymore because we have not enough projects going on, then it's easy. We just don't pay them that month and they come back next time or whatever. And so if we start scaling up, we can scale it up, right? So it all is fluctuated. We actually, Grace and I made a decision that we'll make less if we started paying our key people profit share, right? But when we do more, when we do less projects, we actually are making more than if we were paying them salary, right? But if we're doing more projects, we're making less, but we have less headaches and we're able to scale around and do whatever. So we did that. So now we do all the projects that we do with 2 main people plus me and my wife. And then we're really, really big on lanes, hardcore. I never even talk about that. Sorry. Super strict on lanes, right? To give you a case in point, my wife is in charge of all property management for all of our houses, everything. If she wants to hire other property managers, she could do that. If she wants to burn all the houses down, she can do that. If she wants to rent all the houses for 50% of market value, she can do that, right? Which we might not stay married for very long if we keep doing that, but it's her lane and she can do that, right? So because she owns that lane at the end of the day. So for me, my lane and stuff like that is that I am final say on the planning for the project, right? But I'm not final say on whether or not we should buy it or not. I'm not final say on design. I'm not final say on any of that stuff like other people are. But the plan for the project, I'm final say on. But that's just the decision. That's my lane. Everything else is other people's lanes. So like get really strict on lanes, and then don't step on those people's lanes. Let them do what they're supposed to go do and empower them to do that. I think people like mix that shit up too much. And they, especially with when you're working as a husband and wife situation, right? You're both the boss, and that's the issue. So, or one thinks to the boss when it's not true, right? So it's just, if they have defined lanes, it's easier for you not to step on each other.
Do you write out those lanes as part of your SOPs?
Yeah. So we have, that's part, Asana helps with that too, because then we can actually assign people those lanes, right? But ultimately it's having those, if you're going to hire somebody, you go like, this is our expectation of you. This is what it is, right? This is your responsibility. This is where you can ask, we can all help each other out. But at the end of the day, this is one of the issues I used to have when we had 6 people, right? I had the main thing was project manager in Serena, for instance, like Serena and our project manager. Our project manager was a revolving door. I just want to throw that out there. But anyways,
but when we first met you, you were like, I'm firing this guy, I'm hiring 4 more. And then I'm firing those 4. And it was,
I want to get on that. If you want to hear bitch fest, we'll talk about that. But anyways, so but Serena and the project manager were kind of have interchanging lanes at times. And the biggest mistake as somebody being in charge of that, like for me, was to tell them both a task, right? But never define who's ultimately in charge of that task. That's a huge issue, right? And that's the same thing even if with you're married or if it's just you and another person. I'm looking at Serena and then one of our project managers at the time going like, why is this task not done? And they're like, they didn't know. All it took was for me to say, hey, both of you guys work on this, but at the end of the day, Serena, you're ultimately in charge to make sure it gets done. That's it, right? So even if it's a group event, group situation, team thing that has to happen, somebody at the end of the day has to be ultimately responsible for that activity. And that's been a big thing for us over the years that made things way less convoluted and easier, and just make sure somebody's in charge of it ultimately.
That's awesome.
It's like a no-brainer thing, but we don't do it. So.
Well, and so much of real estate it's kind of no-brainer when you really sit down, like you said, take 10 minutes, take 30 minutes and think through processes and systems. It's like, hey, but then when you get into it, we don't plan, like you said, we jump right into it. We have closing and then we go right into construction day. And I mean, it's just kind of it's chaos. But the guys you have now are 1099s?
Yeah, everybody's 1099 now. So everybody. Yeah, for no matter what. And then unless we had an in-person executive assistant for a number of times. She was the only real employee for 2019 and part of 2020. But yeah, if we can get them 1099 now, that's what we're doing. But it depends on your business. Like if we were starting to run construction hardcore internally, where we're like our own GC as well as hiring out hourly people, that would be a different thing. Like so you start. There's a time and a place to have W-2ers, absolutely, especially legally. Like sometimes you can't avoid that shit, so you have to make them a W-2. But and that's a fine line. You just gotta know where that line is and how to, keep it going.
Yeah,
I want to ask you a question, Tarl, because I remember in 2017, because that's right around where we met you, right? And the very first meeting, we hit it off right away because all your problems were a lot of like our problems, right? And I admire the fact that you fixed them, and you've streamlined it. And so it reminds me of that, like I guess analogy or the story of like of the guys that are chopping the tree. They both have axes, and one guy spent the majority of his time sharpening the axe, while the other guy just started whacking the tree. And eventually the guy who just, blasted off and started taking down the tree got, the axe gets dull and the tree gets tired. Whereas the guy who, took the time to sharpen his axe ended up, taking out the tree first, right? So sometimes it's better to pause and wait and sharpen the axe before going forward in business. But I guess my question is, because there's also the other side, right? Where sometimes it does pay to shoot, ready, aim or something, right?
Speaking from experience, I take it.
Yeah, shoot first and then, fix things as you go. But where do you find that balance?
Shit hits the fan. Like, so if shit's hit the fan, you got to go, right? You got to do it. And so that happens. I remember Keikoa knows this. When first time you ever went drive, you came over to my house to go drive properties with me. And I'm like, we're not doing that. Shit hit the fan, right? And so you had to go rush down to Tacoma with me which
We
was
sat
in
the
2017.
permit's office for like 6 hours, but that's what happens.
But we had a massive issue that I'm like, we got to go. Like, so you just got to know it's that priority management aspect. And so it's and know what is an emergency and what's not, right? And is it your emergency or is it somebody else's? That's the other thing. So, but going back in time with that, like, that's the biggest thing for us. If it's like, there are certain things that are super hyper time sensitive, but a lot of it's self-imposed. And is it actually time sensitive or is it imposed on yourself? And some people might say like interest cost and holding cost is time sensitive. Well, yeah, right. It is. That's true. But how much that is a burden on you depends on you, right? So if 2 weeks of not working on the project is a detriment to the entire project and you'll lose your ass for holding costs, well, that's an issue. You probably shouldn't have bought that project, right? So for us, don't touch the house, right? Until we know what we're going to do with it. And it needs to be planned out, because we've done the whole other way where we just go and then all of a sudden you're knocking down shit you should have knocked down. You're getting change orders left and right, delays because you didn't schedule stuff correctly, or you didn't spend enough time vetting out the contractors right, or like you didn't get the permit you needed, or whatever. You get shut down by local authorities. I'm not saying that you always need to get a permit, but
yeah,
whatever. But because we would wait now, I don't care how long it takes. Sit on a house months, whatever. Like if that is not a whatever. By the way, but anyways, but if I'd rather us take those 2-3 weeks of not touching the house and let's spell it out. The only thing we allow to happen is trash out and like clean up and securing the property. And if we can get everything done in a day, we get it done in a day, right? If we can do it before we buy the project, even better. But sometimes you buy a project in less than 24 hours and you got to go now, then that doesn't mean the next day you start tearing into walls. You plan it out, right? And trust me, the project will work so much better if you actually know what's going to happen to it. What finishes, you shouldn't get an email from your contractor when he's ready for tile to ask you what tile you want. And you go, hold on, I'll get back to you. I got to go figure that out. Like, you've owned the house for 2 months. You should already know that, right? So it's that kind of a thing.
It's awesome.
But, yeah, if that makes sense.
Hey, Tarl, we could probably go for like another 4 hours. I think everyone's enjoying it, but and I think we'll save taxes for a whole nother time, because there is so much there to unpack. But I think there's a couple questions that is pretty interesting that I think if we could hit relative to how you guys went from fix and flips to actually buy and holds. Like, I was a part of Corey and I we were on Oahu, and you guys were talking about the idea of going that direction. And then shortly after that trip, you guys just started. Grace quit her W-2 job. She started managing your personal buy and holds. And that was a game changer for you because of passive income. So a couple of questions that's kind of come up on the chat, but then I'll just kind of add to them. So you kind of went from fix and flip, you went to buy and holds, which basically it's fix and flipping. You just don't sell it to somebody else, you sell it to yourself. Tell us a little bit about how those numbers work, and if anything's changed relative to how you look at an acquisition. And then how do you finance it on the back side? What percentage are you looking at, and what do banks look at so that you can maybe pull some cash out, and how that works for qualifications?
Sure. Keep in mind, numbers are challenging verbally, so I'll do my best on this part. But ultimately, nothing has changed on our acquisition side than what we were doing in the past, because we still flip. So when we look at a house, we go, okay, does this meet our minimum criteria for a flip? And is it a project we want? We added a criteria to our criteria that goes, is it going to be like, are we excited about it? Right. So that's kind of like a get out of jail free card kind of thing on any project. Cause you can have projects that the numbers spell out great, but you're like, my gut says this project sucks. But the numbers say yes. So we have a get out. Like, if we're not excited about it, we're not buying it. But besides point. So if it's going to work out as a flip and it's something that in an area we do it and it hits our numbers, we're buying it. Simple, straight up buying it. Who cares about the burr at that point? Because we're already buying it. So, but when it comes to the burr, let me just add this. You can never have a good burr, which is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat, unless it's a good flip, period. So therefore, that's why it's like, okay, is it a good flip? If it's a good flip, then now let's go see if it's also a good burr, right? And so not the other way around.
Yep.
And so we already knew how to evaluate flips all day. So what I found though, is that like, if we already know we're building up the value in the property, so, that's the key to a flip, is you buy a shitty house or project or whatever, multifamily. You can do the same with any multifamily and stuff like that as well. It doesn't have to be just single family. And you put your rehab into it. And at the end of the day, if you sold it, you make a bunch of money, right? Yep. So if you already know you're going to do that, now you have to see if it's going to be a BRRRR, can you refinance it, right, at the end instead of selling it to get your capital back out of the project, so you don't have any, preferably no capital into it. When you go to refi, you get a cash out or whatever it might be, and then it also cash flows. So there's projects that might, and this might be this in Hawaii, this might be one of those issues where you have a project that, yeah, like you could totally build value in it, and yeah, you can cash out 70-75% loan to value and get most of your money out of it at the end, but it's not going to cash flow, right? Because maybe it's a $1.6 million property or whatever it might be that you can only rent out for like what, $5,000 a month or something. I don't know the numbers at all, but it's not going to cash flow if that's the case. So that's not a good BRRRR.
Yeah.
But so what we look at now is we go, I know that on the front end, if I buy a project cash, which I don't buy anything cash, by the way. I finance it.
Hard money pretty much all the time.
Private money.
Private money.
So cash, and I rehabbed it cash, which I don't, but this is how I do our calculation. Then what's the cash on cash return? So it's the total rate of return of that project. Yep. If it's more than 22% or 23%, then 100% I can get my money back out of the project. Not worried about it at all, even after holding costs. And so I figured that kind of magic number with us is like that 22, 23%, because once you get refinancing, there's no like, and I mean like that includes like, if I flipped it, that's if I flipped it, which means all selling costs, commissions, all that kind of stuff. It still has to be that 22, 23%. We get all my money back out. No worries. Then the next step would be, does it cash flow, which is that's where you got to look at like rental comps and all that kind of stuff. The Bigger Pockets BRRRR calculator, I think, is probably the best one out there for like to be able to do good calculations. So go on biggerpockets.com, and I think you use it free 5 times before you have to like become a pro member. But I think it's the best one for BRRRR calculators. So anyways, so that's that. Does it cash flow? If I have to leave money in the deal, so let's say at the end of it, I got to leave 20 grand into it or something like that for the rental, because I can't get all my money back out on the refi. I have to leave some of it in. Then I want to get at least a 40% return on any of that money I had to leave in. So, and that's because I can get way better return if I use that money on flips and other projects and wholesaling and whatever else we're doing. So I want any money we're leaving in to get at least 40% return. So that's up to you how you want to do it. Some people say 20% is the return they want on the money they leave in on a BRRRR, because once you start going into like, you're only getting a 10% return or a 12% return or an 8% return on the money you leave in to the deal, why go through the hassle of doing the BRRRR? You could have just like gone and bought a rent or a turnkey rental somewhere in the Midwest or somewhere else or whatever, and not have the hassle of all that crap. Right.
Yeah.
And so so that's why I want that return high. And so that way it's worth doing the construction, the rehab, everything else. The other component is your IRR, your internal rate of return, which is what is going to be when you go to sell it, or 1031, which is where the appreciation of the property value going up, because you rehabbed it, you built in that equity. Because in theory, if you did it all right, you owe less than 70% LTV, 75% in some areas, 80% in some areas, depending on what the cash out is. And you cash flow, you got no money in it, and you have all this equity, right? That's if you do it right.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Those are beautiful.
But sometimes it's not that way. And that's why if it's a great flip at the end of the project, and you're like, wow, this is a negative cash flow because interest rates gone up, or I couldn't get the refinance or whatever, then you sell it and you still make money. So, so you have 2 exit strategies immediately if it's a BRRRR.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's perfect. I like it. I can't believe you got it that short. That's perfect.
I didn't think that was that short, but whatever. So,
it's good. Hey, let's do a quick Fixated conference promo. Thanks everybody for hanging on. But stay tuned in for this part. I think everyone's enjoyed Tarl. Tarl is the heart behind this event that's coming up, and the content you heard here is exponentially on steroids during this event. So we would highly recommend all of us join. And then if Tarl's nice enough, he'll give us a discount code for everybody on the Coffee Talk.
I'll have to set one up. But ultimately, this is normally an in-person event. Normally, we have about 1,000 people every year. We're on track to have 1,500 people at it this year. But now it's the virtual Big Badass Real Estate Wealth Expo. It is, the benefit of it is that it is now worldwide versus just in person in Pacific Northwest. It was the largest, most successful real estate investor conference on the West Coast in the U.S. And this is our 4th year running, but now it's virtual. So Bigger Pockets is also partnering with us, and so it's going to be a big deal. We have a lot of speakers going through it. So you guys can go to, it's pnwrealestateexpo.com or badassexpo.com. Both of those work. And don't get confused by the PNW. It's not a PNW event. It's not a Pacific Northwest event. This is a national event. And it's just because our old event was called Pacific Northwest because it was in Seattle. So, but this is a virtual event. So big things on it, September 18th, 19th, right? We do have 40 sessions. I'm just going to go straight down to this. So the big difference between other virtual events and ours is you can actually network with people at ours. So that's one of the biggest issues with events with virtual events is it's like you're listening. This is somewhat networking because you guys can chime in and talk if you wanted to. But most virtual events, it's like a webinar style that you could maybe do a chat Q&A. And that's about it. And if you wanted to now go talk to somebody else that's in this section here, then you have to figure out a way to go talk to them or call them up on the phone or do something like that. And it's very limited. So we actually are able to, look at this. This is a fancy GIF that we got installed. But there's actual full interactive networking area. So you're able to, in our software that we purchased, we'll have a couple thousand people at this thing probably. And if you wanted to say, I want to talk to everybody in Maui, let's do a virtual meet for all Maui investors or all Hawaii investors or whatever. You can go on your own, go to that section in our virtual area and set it up, and you can have everybody go talk like this, and you guys could have round circles and everything like that, breakout rooms, and virtually talk to each other via camera and everything. You can also go hit up people individually and ask to do FaceTime right through the apps and stuff as well if you want to. So there's a lot more virtual networking that we're able to do with it, plus virtual exhibit hall. Some of you guys know some of the speakers. Look at these beautiful people. Brandon, Ken McElroy, he has 10,000 units. Good dude. Kathy. I think Keikoa's in here. Where is he? I think get Corey on here. Corey, Keikoa's on the bottom. So there he is. Well, and we have more speakers coming as well. So it's $149 and it's 2 days, and you get all the sessions recorded as well if you can't make the sessions. So there's 40 plus sessions, and it's everything real estate. So we're gonna have some specialized economic updates and stuff as well with so some of the top economists in the U.S. And we got some special speakers coming up just outside of being those guys that are on there and girls, and it's gonna be cool. So the virtual apps are will open up prior to the event and stay open after the event, so people could keep networking and join the virtual booths and all that kind of stuff too. So it's not just the event itself, and also of course all the sessions and all that great stuff. So it's gonna be fun.
Well, it's so awesome that you guys did that, because like the magic in these events, like the content is great, especially your guys' conference. You guys had amazing speakers there last year, but the magic happens like in the networking too, yes. Right? So that's where the deals get cut, and that's where people really build relationships to help each other, and that's amazing that you guys put that together. So
dude, that was the hardest part when we had to go virtual. By the way, guys, if you want to like hate your life, be in charge of a large in-person event at the beginning of 2020, and where you're totally already committed contractually to so much stuff and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff that you're like, fuck. Anyway, sorry, I'm just sorry. Yeah, but that was earlier this year for me, right? And then I'm just happy we're finally committed to doing it virtually. So, because for a long time we're on the fence. Can we do it? Can we not do it? Can we do it? Can we not do it? Like, and a lot of people canceled, but I didn't want to cancel. So, but it is virtual, and I didn't want to do it unless we can work out the networking component, and because that's such a huge thing. Because even myself personally, like I wouldn't go to it unless I can network with people. So, and even though the content's going to be amazing, but the networking was such a huge component to people's events. And now what I kind of like about it now is that you can get really, if you're at 1,000+ person event, it's kind of sometimes hard to find the person you need to find, right, to reach out to. Now you can like hit them up directly and start like talking to them right away and go meet virtually and have virtual coffee together or whatever. I don't know,
and it's kind of less intimidating too, actually.
It is.
When you're in the same room, you're like, oh, they're talking to all these other people, and you don't want to break in. But man, I think this is going to be perfect, and there's going to be a greater opportunity to probably walk away with more contacts in a virtual one than an actual one. So, yeah, I think that's awesome. So, Badass Conference. Check it out.
Expo.
BadassExpo.com.
There you go.
Check it out. Sign up.
Typed it in the chat.
Perfect. BadassExpo.com.
P&W Real Estate Expo works too. So
This one's just easier to remember. It's kind of cool to say it. You just got to say it. So you can tell your family where you're going.
go to the Badass Expo.
Exactly.
So we will have like about 30 to 40 exhibitors too. So it's kind of cool too. The software a lot for the virtual exhibit hall. You can go in there and all the exhibitors could be hosting live events also simultaneously. So you'll have like an exhibitor on demand section. So you can like jump into different sessions with them and see what they got going on and talk to them directly, download their stuff. There's raffles, there's prizes. We're always giving stuff away. So it's all part of like, there's a lot of gamification in it. And I wish it was in person. It's easier for me to run it in person, but now it's like a TV production. Like we have a studio, we have everything we have to set up. So we're
excited. That's awesome. Thanks, Tarl, for first of all just being here, and then also creating a resource that's going to be very inspiring for everybody that's part of our network and our circle of friends. We'd love to have you come back and talk taxes one day. So maybe after you have the conference all done.
Whatever. Let's do it next week.
You're awesome, man. We'll do it.
And this time of year, if you run an event also, like hey, there's 5 people in a room, I'll talk to them. Yeah, that's great.
Right.
Well, and you're just so good at sharing great information. You're succinct and it's very informative. I definitely got some extra stuff out of it, and I've spent a lot of time with you, so I'm super stoked.
Well, where else can people check you out, Tarl? Because I know you do work with Bigger Pockets too, right?
Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm a brand ambassador for them. So we do. The YouTube channel on Bigger Pockets has quite a few videos that we've done that are more breakdowns. But a lot of it's property walkthroughs. I do have one that's specifically on systems and business scaling that's on there. That was probably a month ago or something. Done a lot of bird videos, a lot of property walks for them on there and breakdowns of that. So you can check that out. You can also Tarl at Tarl Yarber. I'm the only one on Instagram named Tarl Yarber, so you can check that out too. And you'll see pictures of my kid and my ropes course on there. And we also, every now and then I post real estate on my Instagram page, so you can follow that as well. But most of it, the real estate we post is on Bigger Pockets. So
that's fantastic. Well, thanks everybody for joining us as well this week. Thanks to Tarl. And then if you have any additional questions for Tarl, you can hit him up at what is the best place to hit you up at?
Instagram.
Instagram? Okay.
Or Tarl at Fixated Events if you really want to email me. So
yeah. Or sign up for the conference. Be there with us. It's going to be a great conference. We'll have a blast together. And then a discount code. Yeah. We need a discount.
We don't have one out. Nobody has a discount code. So because we're like, it's already discounted. I could see if we can get one, right? I gotta go through Serena. That's not my lane. She gets pissed off at that, but I'm sure we can convince her. But you guys aren't on an email list or anything, so it's not like we can send it to you.
Well, if you send it to us, we'll distribute it out, and we have a Facebook page with everybody on it.
I don't want everybody to get it. So, all right, I'll tell you what. This is what we're gonna do right now. All right, everybody listening, got it? FORE 20. All right, FORE 20 is gonna give you 10% off, but not right now. It will give you 10% off in a couple hours, right? Maybe an hour. Give us an hour, right? So FORE 20, that is correct, Pearson. The FORE 20 will give you 10% off the ticket, right? And it's only going to be good until like Sunday. There you go. That way, I know I can convince Serena to do that. So, because like she doesn't want that shit going out everywhere. But
no, we appreciate it. Sometimes Serena's on. I don't think she's on today, but we thank Serena. We thank you.
I gotta text her so I don't forget.
She's gonna. Why am I getting all these messages about people wanting a discount?
No, I mean like the big thing, like inside baseball here too much. I don't know, but like our physical event, we always sold tickets with price increases. So, and that's if you ever want to run an event, that's one of the best way to make sure people buy tickets is you increase the price as time goes on. Yeah. We set it up for $149 for the virtual ticket already as a hybrid event because we were going to do the event hybrid already. So we were just going to like broadcast. So we just, we'll just, since we're with Bigger Pockets, more people can show up virtually while we do the live event and they can just be part of the sessions. So we were already at the top price that you should charge for a virtual event already at $149. We're like, man, I'm not going to sell you tickets. We start selling this shit for $300. Like, so we're kind of already locked in on that. So that's why the price increases are a challenge. But so the discount code, whatever, 10%, right? We can do that. Serena won't get pissed. And then
you're awesome. We appreciate you. not just the discount, but the information today was awesome. I think everybody really.
You used me. I understand. So.
Yeah, that's all right. But I'll eat some diapers or something. We'll drop it off.
No more newborn diapers. He doesn't fit in those anymore. So
yeah,
we have way too many.
I told you they grow fast.
Yeah, they do.
Do they? Does he still do projectile poop?
Dude. Okay, so he's for those of you guys who don't know, I have a 3-week-old who's going on. He thinks he's 2 months old, right? But you know how the kids are. But he's 4 weeks Tuesday, and nice. This kid shoots poo, right? It's just like boom, like a shotgun, and he had like a bookshelf like 5 feet away the other day. I'm like, it was like, holy crap, like literally. So he's got gas issues. We're working on that.
yeah. That and then the projectile shishi too. You got to make sure you cover that one up.
Yeah. So, all right.
That's awesome. Well, right on. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks, Tarl. Have an awesome week. We'll catch you on Facebook if you have more needs or deeds or anything that we could do to help each other out, keep networking. But otherwise, have an awesome weekend. Thank you, Tarl Yarber. And
thanks,
be sure
everybody.
To go on to sign up for the conference, get the 10% discount, and we'll all catch everybody soon.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tarl. You're awesome, man.
Thanks, guys. I love that guy.
He's awesome. He is awesome. He was fantastic. It was fun. But I drank too much coffee, so I need to take a go break.
You had the small bladder.
I do. That's an hour and 34 minutes, bro. That's pretty good for me.
That was a long one. Oh, man.
Hang on. You guys keep chatting.
Yeah. Nadal, what time is it over there for you?
12:30, 12:35.
12:30. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Tarl's event the last few years was amazing. Like, I'm so bummed it's not in person. Like, hopefully we'll see some of you guys on there. We'll be on there. We usually help volunteer to in Seattle when they have it. But yeah, wish we could be there. I know Steve Rosenberg will probably be there. Brandon will probably be on. David Green, Ken McElroy. I don't know if you guys know. Ken McElroy, Thatch Wynn. You'll be there. I love Thatch too. That guy's awesome.
Is he gonna drive in using his Rolls Royce?
His Rolls? I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like last year, I was like, "Hey, that guy's Ferrari looks exactly like Thatch," and then the license plate says "fuck how."
Yeah.
So it was his, parked valet right in the front. Oh, he's awesome. Thatch is an awesome guy. Who here is in Seattle? Are you, Kata? Yeah?
Yeah, I am in Seattle. Proper. Seattle proper.
Seattle proper? Okay. Did you go last year to Tarl's event?
No, we just moved to Seattle last year, so I did not know about these events last year because I was too new to the area. But I know everybody who you mentioned before because I actually participate in Tarl's calls, or I guess presentations on Wednesdays. So I love his presentations, and he had Ken and Kathy Fatke and C. Rosenberg, all these guys on his presentations, and yeah, I just love to listen to. And I follow, of course, Thatch on social media, and he's amazing too. So
yeah, I love that. I'm glad when I first met Thatch, he was just getting into like social media. I was like, man, this guy should be pumping out content, because like
he's killing it.
Yeah, he just radiates like inspiration and energy, positive energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a great
and
guy.
He's just so refreshingly humble, even though he's super successful. And I was shocked, and I was like, okay, you can
Yeah, he buys the fancy cars because that's he.
That's his hobby. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hobby, and those cars, like some of those, cars, it's like art, and like you can really appreciate the work and detail that goes into those cars, and he's earned every bit to be in the position that he's in, and he is humble. He is a humble guy, and he comes from humble beginnings too. So,
yeah.
You should listen to his interview on Bigger Pockets. It came out I think a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even know he was on Bigger Pockets.
Yeah, he did the interview. Yeah.
Last week's episode.
Last week.
Yeah.
I still have to listen to that.
Yeah, he was on Tucker Merrihew's podcast too, and I love that one. But Bigger Pockets is a little PG, right? So like, I know Thatch and Tarl too. Like, Tarl's I forget which number he was on, but for his Bigger Pockets interview, but it was they have to keep reminding him, this is family show.
Well, the thing is that on his own show he doesn't talk like this.
Oh really? Oh yeah. Well, probably the one with Bigger Pockets he knows he's gotta watch his mouth, but
No, the Foray show, the Wednesday presentations. Yeah.
He does.
He has a bi-weekly. He does a bi-weekly webinar every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
It's really,
that. This is him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go listen to Thatch's episode.
Yeah, it's really good. I think it's episode 395.
Yeah,
95, 395,
yeah,
396.
395.
But
Okay.
yeah, they not bleep out his, I mean, you can tell when he's about to swear, like, so it's just like silent.
Yeah.
There's only like maybe 3 or 5 of those in the whole conversation, which I was surprised by. Yeah. It's a good one. It's a really good, yeah. Hatch is really good with like mindset and grind, all that stuff.
No.
Which day was this one?
Mondays. Oh no. When is Bigger Practice? It's like episode 395. So it's like if you're on the podcast app, it's right there. And it's the title is like from valet to something.
Got him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So good. So good.
It's gonna be the drive home episode.
I just got a text. I gotta get on the phone.
Night.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
See you guys next week.
See you next week.